Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Rainey, art teacher at Van Deventer Middle School in Frisco ISD, and I am going to show you guys how to make the Elements of Art foldable. So hopefully everybody has watched the Elements of Art slideshow from earlier this week, and then also looked at the Elements of Art foldable presentation for how to do this. There is a matching worksheet. It's not mandatory that you print this out, and you can view it online, so you don't have to have a printer. You can just view it online in Canvas, but it has all of the definitions, the proper definitions for each element. It has a word bank with the elements here, and you can match it. If you've got a printer and you print it out, you can match it, or you can just copy down the definitions in your sketchbook, or you can just use that to help you copy down the definitions once you get your foldable created. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, there's also a template online with the lines already pre-measured for you. Again, that's something you can print out if you have a printer. If you don't have a printer, it's totally fine. The only things you really need for this assignment are a blank piece of paper, a pencil, a ruler, and a pair of scissors, and then some sort of crayons or colored pencils to add color to your foldable. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are gonna fold our paper hot dog style. Hopefully everybody knows hot dog style. That's also lengthwise, okay? And make sure that you line your corners up really evenly before you press firmly to make your fold. Okay, there are 7 elements of art, and this piece of paper is 8.5 by 11 inches. We folded lengthwise, so this is 11. And one of the things that I like to tell students to do is to measure down 1 inch to leave an room for a title, Elements of Art, and then measure up 1 inch as well to leave room for your name. So once you do that, you will end up cutting off those top flaps, okay? The top flap and the bottom flap, so that when your foldable is totally open, it's there, and then these flaps just won't get in the way. Okay, so take your ruler, and you're gonna measure down your 1 inch mark at first, and just make a nice little a little dot here. And then from the bottom, I'm gonna measure up from the 11 inch mark to the 10 inch mark. I'm gonna go ahead and draw my guidelines for those 2 areas right away. And I'm drawing light. In art, we have a saying, draw it light till you get it right. You don't ever wanna start out making super dark marks anywhere, because then it can be hard to correct that later on. So these lines are nice and light. You're gonna cut through them later, so it's okay, but you just don't wanna make them too dark or too bold. Hopefully you guys can see that. All right, so now there are 9 inches left in between these spaces. This is gonna be your title, so Elements of Art, all right? And then this is gonna be your name. So you'll put like by, my name is Mrs. Rainey, so I will put by Mrs. Rainey in this area down here. All right, so you've got your title, your name, and now this area, there's 9 inches in between, and we have 7 elements of art. So you can use your phone calculator to do the math on that, or I've done the math. It's a little bit over 1 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my dots a little bit more than 1 1/4 inch. All the way down until you run out of room. So, and then once you've done that, you're gonna add your guidelines. And once you have your guidelines, you will be able to cut through your flaps, okay? So, the first flap that you're gonna do, oh, you know what? You can write your title on here, or you can cut this off and write your title on the back, like I just said to do, sorry. Anyways, all right, so when you do that, either way is fine too, by the way. If you prefer to have a flap that says Elements of Art, that's fine. I've also had kids that glue this flap down so it's not in the way. But when you cut your flaps, you wanna make sure that you're not cutting through both sheets of paper. Your back page should be one solid sheet. Your front page is gonna have all the flaps cut out, like this one, okay? So your back piece of paper needs to be solid, and your front is what's gonna be cut out. So when you go back to study your definitions, you can pull them out and study that way. So make sure as you're cutting that you do just cut through the top sheet, and then you want to cut all the way to the fold, okay? That way you can open your flap up wide and take a look at your definition. So if you're looking at this matching sheet online, or you're looking at your Elements slideshow, the definition, the top definition here says an element of art defined by a moving point in space, and that is line. So when you go and you create your line on here, I want you to make sure that you are doing some sort of line design. You're incorporating line into the design, okay? And then the rest are color, shape, form, value, space, and texture. So when you do texture, I don't know if y'all can tell, but this kiddo did texture on a different piece of paper and then glued each letter over the top, so when you touch it, you can feel the texture. And then space, just important to know, space in art, when we're talking about space, we're not really talking about outer space. We're talking more about the space around, below, above, and in between objects in a work of art, positive space and negative space. So make sure that you represent that when you do space. This kiddo left lots of negative space in her design. And then I think that is just about everything. So you'll write your line, like different types of lines. You could do like dotted lines, wavy lines, thick line, thin line, you know, curly line, straight lines, directional lines, okay? Just get creative with it, okay? So there's your line, and then you're gonna put your definition, which an element of art defined by a point moving in space is the definition for line. So you'll write that on the back here. An element of art defined by a moving point in space. Okay? And then once you're done, you'll do all of your elements. You'll do all the designs. You'll write all the definitions behind, and you'll be totally done. And you'll have a nice study guide and a good Elements of Art foldable. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I can't wait to see what you do.